Welcome to the Poly Tools channel, and this is the Brand Doctor Show.
You forgot the name of the show
I did.
briefly.
Well, this is I said the name of the channel. Like we said
Right,
beforehand,
right.
both of us are tired, but we wanted to come up with a cool idea to talk about. And so I brought this up like a week ago, as you said, as you pointed it out, that I wanted to talk about, like, okay, we always say over and over and over again, and Roberto Blake talks about this a lot, you should be making 100 posts of content and just get that out as quickly as possible over the course of your creator life. And the sooner you get to 100 posts, the sooner you actually get started on making real content that's going to make a real difference, because you don't know what you don't know. And until you make content, the 100 posts, then the sooner you'll actually get to that point.
No. So let's go. Where do you want to start? I've got ideas, but do you want to go first? What do you got?
Maybe I should just open up Notion real quick, and then
Notion, not Obsidian? What's going on here?
I guess I can do Obsidian. That's fine. You caught me. I'll do Obsidian. 100 ideas. And then let me just close this so we can just focus on the things that are important.
I thought you didn't use Notion at all now.
I really don't, but you like Notion, so I thought I'd do it. But nope, now I'll just do Obsidian. I still have some stuff in Notion. So it's all copied into this one, but I still have things in there that was like helpful for connections. I don't know how we should go about doing this. It's like a dot maybe. And then we could just start taking, these are the 100. Let's talk about what we're doing here, Doc. Can you explain?
So we're talking about the first 100 videos that you should make for your brand or your YouTube channel. We're going to be breaking up, if you're a complete beginner, what should you focus on creating in order to scale quickly and to then assess what's working and what's not working from the type of content that you're creating.
And I think too, it's really niche agnostic. It doesn't really matter. Oh, wrong screen. It's really niche agnostic, right? It doesn't really matter which topics you're talking about. It's just a matter of what types of video you should be making.
Yes, exactly. So to me, if I'm trying to hit 100 quickly, I'm going to do probably 5 categories of 20 videos, because then it's more bite-sized. You feel like you can hit those goals. I feel like 100, it feels overwhelming to me. So if I have 5 categories, that also allows me to think of 20 ideas or, 20 deep dive subjects that I could be testing out in each category. And I had been doing this or a form of this before ChatGPT, but now with ChatGPT, I mean, I think you can really
those ideas,
kill this. Yeah.
That's 10, 15, 20. And so we got to figure out, like, what are the categories? Because they always say too, like, experiment and figure out which topics you want to talk about. Like, if someone, a gamer streamer, for example, comes up with a YouTube channel and is like, hey, I want to make games on Call of Duty. Well, then eventually you might spread to Fortnite and then Apex. So those are all 3 different 20 sets.
Yeah. So to me, I would say if I'm doing Call of Duty, number one, I would do a live stream of how I would start playing the game. How do I even start the game? How do I buy it? Super, super simple beginner stuff. The reason I would live stream is because you're going to have long form content that helps with watch time, all of those things. And it kind of helps you not overly edit or produce. You just how to start that. The next one I would look at would probably be either a live stream again, or it would be like, how do I choose my character, or how do I do something basic, almost that first starting off point. To me, it's how do you start? How do I start the thing? Where do I buy the thing? So is it the tech stack or whatever? How do I, like, day one, what's the first thing or the only thing that I can do with this? And then the next 2 would be like things I like about the game or what I like about the subject, like a listicle type. And then the last thing is, if I started this again, what would I do? Like the regret, like if I could start over, what would I do? And that kind of gets you at least a way of creating content at a cadence that you love it, you're passionate, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad at it. It works on if a game, if you're interested in writing haiku, hiking, it doesn't matter. You can pretty much do this formula over and over again. That's what I would start with.
And like what you were explaining there was kind of fitting more into these 20 video sessions, but I kind of put it actually as the front. So I always was hearing this over and over again where you should start off your channel not with 1 or 2 videos, but with like 5. So if someone likes your content, they actually have somewhere else to go to. So when you start a YouTube channel, don't start with just the first video and start from there. Launch with 3 to 5 videos and then schedule out a couple ahead of time. And that's how you get started. It's a lot, but you're making 5 to 7 videos just to start the channel. And that way you actually have something for people to actually look into. You can start playing around with your style a little bit as well before you even get going.
Could I, if you don't mind, you were talking about gaming, and of course, this is your arena, and this is not mine.
This is our arena.
Oh, this is our arena.
This is our show. This is our show.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is our show. I was thinking about a perfect example, and I was telling this to a friend of mine that's trying to break into content creation and growing. Marvel Rivals. This is a really so he was gaming and doing all of these things, and I was like, listen, and this is before, this was probably the first 3 days before it popped off. I was like, Marvel Rivals, you love Marvel, you love the movies, you love all these things. There's a new game coming out. You need to focus on stop just live streaming and hoping someone will find you. You need to be systematic. You need to start showing people how to download the game, the different experiences, and test out each individual character and show their abilities and do all these things. Did nothing of what I told him to do. He's like, oh, I'll just get clips of my live stream. I'm like, you're missing out the huge opportunity in ballooning. You see how much it's just popped off. I think it overhit 20 million users.
It beat Overwatch and Apex, which are the 2 competing games.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
I also wanted to say too, that's kind of how I thought about with my gaming blog on the gaming channel. I didn't want to make videos about Apex, but I had a lot of cool ideas about how you should play Apex and how to be good at it. And I actually have a few different ideas that I listed out when it came to just how to play Apex and win and not just go for kills. And I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic there. And I wanted to take this list that we had today, Doc, and make it pretty agnostic when it came to topic, best we can. But that's literally, that's kind of the whole idea though. That first sprint would be this first group here. You could fill most of that up with just different characters from the game, for example, and just find what that equates to for your niche. So whether it's content creation or in the case of no code or whatever.
And there's a format that, I mean, this is something that I've done, but I know I stole it from someone. I just don't know. But basically, if you can, you love the topic, whatever you should pick, it should just be something that you can just rattle on and on and on about, because that's more content. But as much as you love something, you can be contrarian. What are you seeing in the audience that you hate that people keep talking about? So it's the flip side of that. The 5 things that you hate, or the 5 things that you dislike that people are talking about this. So now you're flipping that on its head over and over again. And you can find it in the news and that can be topical. Okay, something's going on with Facebook right now. I don't like Facebook because X, Y, and Z. It's really easy to get the contrary aspect of this content as well. I think that's another fuel. And then the third, because that's what you like, what you hate. And then the third one is exactly what you were talking about. I really like experimenting, where you're saying, I don't know the subject. I'm going to go explore. And now you're doing more of an exploring of here's the 5 things that I found. I'm going to show you, and you're on the adventure with the person.
That's definitely your style too, right there.
Yeah. And that's actually, I mean, that's how with Build With Me, I had a schedule and I did not have experience. And that's how I really did a lot of tech reviews. And then I would go back and make beginner stuff after I was exploring and things like that. I can tell you, I did a live stream about you see this a lot actually. If you do the same activity over and over again, but you use different things. For example, I'm building the same app with 7 different software, different languages. I'm going to learn how to tie a shoe 7 different ways. I'm going
Mm,
to cook something 7 different ways. There is so many different ways that you can be doing that.
variations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
What should
Um,
I'm kind of thinking that like people are going to be comfortable doing live streams. Like I'm still not comfortable doing live streams, right? And I want to do more of them. And some people might be more comfortable with it than I am. That's fine. But I kind of see it like if you're starting out, and this is technically in the view case of a YouTuber, but theoretically you could apply the same strategy to blogging and podcasting as well. But if we're doing like a YouTuber and they're doing live streams too, they're going to be new to it. They're still going to be learning how to get started with it anyways. But we had that first live stream that's like how to start with this niche. And so what would the second live stream be for this first batch of content here?
the first batch. So we're seeing how to get started.
Yeah.
I would probably, so it depends, no matter what it is.
It could
I
almost be like a monthly or weekly kind of
that's
thing.
what I'm saying. Like, if to me, and this is something I think we talked about this years ago. To me, I feel like live streaming is like a late night show where you're scheduled, you're going on, and you're just having several segments, and you're just plugging and playing, like you're matching. So imagine a late night television show like Jimmy Fallon or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. You're just the host, and you get to curate what's coming on your show. So you might say, I'm going to have a guest on every night. Great. So every live stream, I'm going to be talking about someone in the industry that I'm interested in. Okay, that's my guest. Number 2, a musical guest. I'm sitting here on my couch. What am I vibing to? Let's talk about my playlist. Pull up your Spotify and just talk about, hey, this one I'm listening to. Do not get demonetized depending on what
Yeah.
you're using. But you can talk about, hey, this one I'm listening to, this one I'm chilling with, all those
I did
things.
that with Medium, actually. I was like, here's my reading list, and here's why I saved it.
Hey, I love it. Yeah, exactly. So it's anything, you're curating the experience, and then you're going to have a topic. Hey, you know what? I was at work, I was doing this. This is what happened to me, or this is what I was thinking about. So with live streams, it can really be, as long as you have a formula, you can just go with it naturally and put a timer or do something like that. But what I find is if you have more structure to it,
Mm-hmm.
the better your live streams and the more comfortable you're going to be. Like, to me, I live stream, and I, if someone paid me or they didn't pay me, I would just be talking about tech all the time, like new tech. So that was my crutch. The guy, Jay, who was my videographer, his whole thing is 2 things. Number 1, auctions, because he does yard selling. So he just looks around his office and he tries to sell things live. And that just gets him, comfortable and everything like that. And then he does the rest of the things. He starts getting donations and things like that. As long as you're having your own set, like a late night television show, I think you can plug in very easily what you're going to do. If it's a weekly show, if it's a daily, nightly show, which I was thinking about I might do again, just because I enjoy it so much. But that will give you enough content, and you always talk about repurposing live streams. I mean, it would
You
be
know how
perfect for you.
you talked about, you said you gave your friend so much of advice about the Marvel Rivals, like you should do this, this, and this, and that'll help you grow dramatically. I said the same thing to you about these shorts. I've done the
How
same
does
thing.
I don't understand how it always comes back to you and your advice, no matter what happens.
You've done the same thing to
I
me.
know, I know. No,
You
no, no.
can't just turn
But
this around on
I
me.
will say this, to be fair, for people to know, I just set up my OBS for vertical. And
So
so,
proud.
so tonight, I already have on my list, I'm going to do 7. I'm going to do 7. Nope, nope, nope. I can't stand that. I can't stand what he just
Sorry.
did. But we're going to see. We're going to see how
This
good
is
it
like the
looks.
third time you said you were gonna do this thing.
I know, but
Maybe fourth.
I hate that. As much as you don't like live streaming, I don't like shorts.
See, I don't dislike live streaming though. It seems like you dislike shorts as a content, as a
I
medium. I don't. I just get nervous about live streaming, and I'm also in the sense of if I'm gonna do it, I want to be polymathic and I want to be multi-streaming. I want to be doing vertical and horizontal at the same time. By the way, little tangent. I saw a live stream today by Hala Taha, pretty famous podcaster, and she was interviewing Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory. And I saw this, mind you, on Instagram in vertical format and automatically switching between the 2 speakers.
Huh.
And because And here's the deal, Doc. You know me. I'm probably the most well-versed when it comes to multi-streaming tools on the market. And it's just because I'm obsessed with it. Because I want to learn how to do it so I can get better at it, right? But I couldn't figure out for the life of me what tool she was using. Maybe Ecamm, that might be it, but I don't think they multi-stream per se. And it was really weird.
Was it a remote interview or live?
Yeah, it was remote.
And they were switching back and forth?
Just like, it would make sense
if
it was like
using a switcher. What if they were just using a physical like hardware?
Or maybe she had a producer with her. Maybe
That's what
two.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it's that big of a podcast, they might just be switching back and forth manually.
Yeah, but then it still also makes me think like, how are they streaming to it? Maybe like StreamYard or Riverside technically might be able to do it if you're just doing that one output. But I don't know. It was just weird to me, and I thought that was interesting. But
Gil's Arena, there's tons of reasons about me against Gilbert Arenas. But anyway, he is a famous basketball player. He's retired. He is killing it with vertical and horizontal, just regular live streaming on YouTube. He's doing about 1,200 views on vertical. He's doing a couple other thousand on regular live streaming. But yeah.
And kind of similar to what you're talking about, the whole daily thing, Doc, I think I told you this, but maybe I didn't. I've been really toying with this idea, and maybe I'll do it next year or something like that, where I want to do 365-day creator interviews.
Yeah, I've heard that foolishness.
I think it's such a cool idea, because if I could just get enough creators interested on the show, I mean, if I come with them to that idea, because the podcast host that I have or used to have was podcast.co, and the CEO of that, when he made the Matchmaker platform, he did this 30 days of podcasting where he went on 30 different shows, and he was like my second guest on my show. And part of his pitch was that he's doing this sprint of shows, and I'm wondering if I can get people scheduled out for the next year ahead. That'd be kind of cool. But right now I have too much content I'm doing. I can't do that. But yeah.
No, that's very interesting. Very interesting. I like it.
Let's go back to the ideas, because I'm kind of drawing a blank here. We have like the first 5 or so or 6 that you would make. I'm not really counting a channel trailer, but that should be like the first thing you make. Maybe a channel trailer or video business card?
Yeah. Okay. So you want me to use chat or just like straight up unique and do this? Like I can do either one, but what would you
I think we can use chat once we get down to the bottom of the barrel. You can see how I repeated some of these things here, so we might be able to fill out some other things by repeating.
Okay. I'm gonna just blitz this thing. Okay. I like what you said. If we're doing it like straight from the studs, definitely you're doing a channel trailer, what the channel is about. Then I would do a video introducing yourself, and that's separately because you're just talking about where you are, why you created the channel. And that can be used almost like I say the Gary Vee model of you can always repurpose that later to show people how far you've grown. Like that's why he still uses Wine Library TV, right? So it's to repurpose that. So once you have the intro to that, then what you're going to do is whatever topic it is, very similar to what you just said, was you do a listicle of what informed your opinion. 5 books that helped you to do that skill.
Like this one?
Yeah, exactly. I would do topics that are important to me. I would do videos that are important to me, infographics that are important to me. I would really have all different types of content, because then when we repurpose it, there's all these other things here. So again, it's blogs, it's videos, it's infographics, it's podcasts, it's movies, it's all of these different things that you can touch upon that might reach out to other demographics for you to do. Then I would do top 10 creators or top 10 influencers in my niche, because then you can, of course, mention them when you put that out. The next thing is everyone uses technology or uses some kind of platforms. What are the 5 types of technology are you using to learn the skill or to learn whatever you're interested in? And then I would have a section of a Q&A. And even if you're a small creator, I can guarantee you after you've done that many videos, you've already come up with more questions that you can ask yourself. I can't tell you, when I first started live streaming, I would already have 5 or 6 questions, and I would make up people, and I'm like, hey, from this person, they asked me this. And it would, because you can always repurpose that. And when people watch it again, people don't know how many watch live. It just compounds on itself.
Mm-hmm.
Then afterwards, you can start looking at this is more like reflexive, like my mom doesn't watch my videos or this person doesn't watch this video. You can always go with the reaction of either the traction that you're getting or I've created this many videos and no one still cares or something like that. Then you can go the route of getting someone from a different part of your like demographic, like it's the mom or grandma reacts thing. I'm going to explain what I like with my grandma. We're going to talk about headshots with my grandma. Then you have that. Or I'm going to teach someone this younger than me how to do this. Of course, make sure everything's age appropriate.
Right.
But whatever the subject is, you're taking a different demographic and you're doing that. And that goes back to reaction of like, I'm learning how to ride a horse. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask my grandfather how he rode a horse. He'll be like, I'm not that old. Like, I never rode a horse. Like, so that allows you to start building upon yourself, if that makes sense.
And here's the deal too. A lot of these that we talked about already that I listed here, you could repeat it. Like I already repeated this late night show thing because I thought that would be a cool idea for like a monthly segment or something like that. And one thing we talked about on the show, on the Brand Doctor show here, Doc, is this idea of having that episodic series too, and having that live stream that you're doing every week or whatever that you chop up into 3 videos throughout that week. And so that you theoretically just keep doing that. And those 3 videos could be one of these other topics here. So you record the top 10 listicle, you record a reaction, then you record the, let's say, answering the question or teaching someone new. And each week you're doing that. There's a lot of people who are doing like website reviews too, which again is kind of reactionary or something like that.
Yeah. I think and I think this is something after your first 20, I think you should take an inventory of what has
video
me
too.
Where's that?
Inventory video.
Yeah.
Like you expose like what videos are you doing.
Yeah. And I would say like what's working, what's not working, what gives you energy, what do you like doing? I think that's really important for that momentum because like you mentioned for me, reviewing tech, I can do that in my sleep. Like I can just do that. But like my wife knows this. I struggle with hardware reviews. I had to work so hard I have this one thing where I did this terminal. It's like e-ink. And it took me forever to do this like 8-minute video. And I had to start saying like, do I want to do hardware reviews? Like, do I want to expand or like software and SaaS? I can do like,
oh my God. So we're kind of opposite on that regard. Like the few reviews that I've done, I've put out like my Microsoft Surface Book, or even I started making a video for my little Retroid Pocket Game Boy thing. I can make those physical reviews because I've seen enough of them where I'm like, okay, you can get top down shot, do the unboxing, whatever. I can do those. I made like 5 or 6 software reviews and it was so painful for me to make. I could not get through it. And the PolyTools channel that this is on should be about tools. And I have not put any videos about tools on this dang channel. It's just been interviews and conversations like this, Doc, and then my solo content about how to be a creator. I have not done any tool videos since I made this channel last year.
That is funny. But I think that's good to just take inventory of like, what do you like doing? What can you do at a large scale so you can get to that 100? Now we're putting out more interviews, longer form on the channel, but that took a long time. I had to get used to just doing interviews and doing live streams and all of those things. I think everyone's so different. And if you have a gift for something, I think I saw like Linus Tech Tools. You sent me it from the Colin Smart show with Linus, and they were talking about that he could just do like take after take at these hardware, basically at these tech conventions, and that's how they could do so many videos. So I think it's that. And
there's another thing too, like if you're not used to what kind of content you want to make, you don't know what you want to make. We have a lot of different things going on here. Yep. One of the things you just mentioned too is like interviewing someone. Like you don't know if you want to do interviews or not. I always kind of knew because I saw Gary Vee and Lewis Howes. I knew I wanted to do that. Like I was excited to do that. I was almost elated when I first got my first interview. But like some people don't know if they want to do it. They don't know if that kind of content works for them. And so doing that interview would actually be a cool idea. And I think you should do it at least like 3 times before you really fully decide whether or not
Oh
you should
yeah,
keep doing it.
3 or 4 times. And I'll tell you what, to that point, I always thought my solo content would flop. I'm like, I
Mm,
can't go anywhere unless I have a guest. I can't do anything unless I have those things. And then the channel went the opposite way. Very
that's
few
crazy.
times do, like, if you look at it, I think I have over on the live stream and now proper, I would say about 15 to 20 proper interviews. Live stream, I'd say I'm closer to 50 to 75.
You've
The
done at least
ones,
3 with me, I think.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but the ones that pop off are beginners, tutorials, listicles. You
Hmm.
just never know what's going to hit. And let me tell you, we'll talk about my video. And you're talking about like just leave things on the channel. I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago. My Web3 video from 2 years ago is carrying my channel right now for the subscriber count for this
Put
month.
it into Opus Clip.
I'm going to try and I'll do it.
I'll do it for you. Just send it to me, or just send me the link again so
I'll
I can
send
find
it
it
to
again,
you.
and
I'll
then I'll
send it
put
to
it in
you.
for you.
But now we're doing a lot more like Web3. You just don't know. Just
Yeah.
try it. Just try it. It was 1,000. Yeah, it was almost 1,100 days before that popped off again.
Well, and definitely YouTube's pushing more and more old content. Actually, I heard Instagram, of all places, is pushing old reels like heavily. And I was really frustrated how TikTok never did that. I had some great reels when I was actually trying to make like comedic content and stuff like that. And it was frustrating how like not reels, TikToks, I mean, and I had a lot of old content that's not getting surfaced anymore on TikTok. And I feel like with YouTube, it's a little bit better about that, but they're pushing more and they're also pushing smaller channels like me as well.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
hard.
That's it, yeah.
So I
No,
only wanted this to take like half our time today. So let's try to do a little bit more and then we could like wrap it up and I could always make more after the call too
but
or
we're going to
something.
talk about other things. Or are we done with this call? What's happening here?
I want to talk about other things besides just this. I don't want this to be the only topic today.
Well, I was not prepared about anything else. No,
That's
this
I
is
just I
fun.
want to catch up with you and we made this show because you and I can start spouting off tools and ideas.
This is true.
We haven't had enough of that the last few weeks.
I just wait until yeah. We got to talk about this. I like the hand gesture. I like everything about it. Yeah. Let's go through this. But I think even if you have this, create a prompt and you're saying based off of this,
Yeah.
create the rest. You could.
You could actually use ChatGPT like, oh, how to use ChatGPT with your product. They're just
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge one right there. Everyone's using it.
Yeah.
I really saw a good. I'm not on TikTok, and it's going to go away in a moment. But
Well, it might come back. You never know.
I heard someone's going to buy it. I don't listen to this stuff because I don't believe it's just going to stay.
Trump is going to keep TikTok around.
Don't even start. We're moving on. We're moving on right now.
I don't do political content on any of my stuff, but I just thought that was funny because supposedly Trump really likes TikTok or whatever, so he might try to work on it. I don't know.
It's so ridiculous.
This is the third time too that it's getting banned. This is the one time I've actually been worried about it. Though.
I will say this. I think TikTok at this point, I think it gets people when things get banned. I think there's an influx of how many people are like, no, I got to download. I got like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they were trying to threaten to take it down off the store. And like the increase of how many downloads people were making of TikTok before they thought it was going to be banned. I'm like, it's actually great publicity for them anyway. So
I also want to mention this too. I just found this out. I was talking to the founder of Newlink the other day, and I asked him a question. I'm like, hey, since you're technically outside the U.S. and I think they're in Morocco or something like that, which is really super cool, mind you.
nice.
Like Morocco has a really cool tech space. I love it. But the fact that they're outside the U.S. means that they don't have to necessarily like stop doing anything with TikTok. And since I use them in the US, anything I send through Newlink can technically still be routed to TikTok. So even when TikTok's banned here, I can still post a TikTok and get views from people around the world.
I love it. I love it.
I just thought that was really cool. And there's probably other tools too, like based in the UK or something like that, or Canada that you could get that are also really good. But I really like Newlink. So yeah, I mean, really, in reality, you could just repeat this whole thing a few times or whatnot. But I really kind of wanted to have at least 2 here that were like different. So let's kind of narrow that down then.
Different styles of content.
Well, like you mentioned how there was like these 3 different sprints that you could do. Like there's different games, but let's just kind of simplify it and then just duplicate this.
Can we? Okay, I was going to say the other version is the challenge version.
Ooh.
So if you're looking in either, I'd make a list of what you naturally look at on TikTok or YouTube, or
30
what
days
works.
of this or something like
that. Exactly. So if you're doing like 100 days of no code, 100 days of Python, 100 days of whatever, you could actually make your own Like, that's what Max did with 100 Days of No Code. He wanted to learn no code. He wanted a community around it. This was in the beginning of pandemic. He made a movement. It became a hashtag. It became a whole business. You don't have to go that far, but if you do 100 days of something,
even just 30, really.
30 days. I mean, really, if we're talking about it, 100 days is your 100 videos. If you
that's it too, right there. Yeah.
Like, if you really want to do it, you're learning the craft. I mean, I don't know how many days PewDiePie did like his drawings and like showing it over time, and he did a video at the end. But really, if you're like, I'm trying to learn this thing, people love the adventure. People love to see it. It works in fitness, 100-day push-up challenge, squat challenge, whatever it is. People love seeing that transformation. I would just do that. That's or a 30-day something like that, and that's still taking up a third of all your videos.
Well, it's not the 100-day sprint kind of thing. I actually did something recently that I just thought I'd throw out there, which is still kind of the weekly episodic idea. But I wanted to get back into doing calf raises because when I was doing exercise much more consistently, I was like, I used to do like 100 calf raises a week or like 300 calf raises twice or 3 times a month. And I was getting really good calves and really great balance, most importantly, from doing that. And it was a great way for me to do higher reps and like learn how to get better at doing high rep exercises. But on top of that too, is like the balance was so great and burning more calories too, which is nice. So around late November, I was like, I want to do this again. So the first weekend I did 50 on Sunday. The next Sunday I did 100, then 150, then 200, 250, 350, or 300, 350. And when I got to like 400 is when I started actually kind of failing. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was supposed to do like 400 and I did 250. And then I had to take like a week and a half break off of it because I just wasn't doing enough. But yesterday I did, or not yesterday. Yeah, no, I did it late. I failed doing it Sunday. So I did it yesterday morning, 450 calf raises in one sitting. Like it's not in a row. Like you're still taking breaks, but it's all in one sitting. And I just think doing something like that, where each week you're increasing the output, and you could find a way to do that with content too. But that way you're still doing a lot more. And I might not do more than 500 after next weekend, but I think it's still helpful to just push yourself to do more. You could think of the same thing with videos, blog posts, podcasts.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even like we were talking about the 100-day thing, I like the calf thing. Hackathons or something, just make your own. Like, we made a one over the break called Build-a-thon. It was me and my wife. We just had to build 7 things. Like I was doing software. She has a YouTube channel and it's all building physical things. So she builds actually like props and like from movies and small miniatures. So as long as you have some kind of challenge and you can document it, I think it's a great way for you to showcase your skills. Yeah, I'm all for it.
I love that. And I'll try to find a way to make this like a PDF. I think you could export it on Obsidian this way, and I'll put it in the description for people to download too. Nice. Or maybe I'll make it to a Google Doc that's public or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's great. And once you're done, don't think about it. Afterwards, look at the analytics afterwards. But if you commit to a challenge, I think that's really important. Yes, if something massively like pops off and you got like 1,000 or 10,000 views, okay, take a look. But focus on the craft and focus on the skill. Everything else you can dial in later on and see, but you got to get used to that.
Yeah, don't really look at the analytics. I've been making the mistake of doing it a little bit more as of late because I was curious to see what's happening with all the shorts and stuff like that. But for the longest time, I didn't look at analytics for hundreds of videos because I just knew that I wasn't going to get hardly any traction. But there's a cool idea. It's the opposite of a retrospective. I call it the futurospective, where you are looking forward towards what's going to happen next in your field.
I like that. Yeah. Almost like what
Predicting.
You're expecting. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it's like, what's happening in 18 months or 25. Yeah, you can do a lot of that stuff. I like it.
So we have this one last section here, Doc, before we move on. What are you thinking? Like how should you wrap up doing 100 videos? And that's not really counting the whole sprint here in the middle. Like you could add that in, it could be at the end. You really could put this anywhere. I would definitely suggest putting it after this first little bit here. Because obviously you want to have that baseline, but like this could fit anywhere.
Yeah.
But we do all this, and then here's at the end, what do we do?
At the end of the 100 or the last 20 or something, right?
Like here's the last like 20 or so. I mean, this doesn't technically equal 100, I guess, but you can repeat a lot of these.
At the end, I would probably do a couple of things. Number one, celebrate and talk about like what the experience has been for the 100 days, or the 100 videos. What have you learned? I think almost you can go back and talk about what you would tell your younger self, or what would you do? Like, how would I've done 100? What I would tell myself, it's not too late to start, or don't get started. Don't be like me. I think having those kind of pieces of content really work well.
Hmm.
The other thing is, I think it would be a planning session too, of saying like, I've done 100. Where am I going to go with my content? Like, what do I plan on doing next? You might say like, I'm done with this. I challenge
Hmm.
myself, but I have found that I'm not going to use this
Like I
platform.
don't like Call of Duty anymore. I want to do Apex, or you could do what you're saying there. You could just like change platform completely. Always talk about doing 100 reps, whether it's podcasts, videos, or blog posts. Maybe you don't like doing videos anymore. After doing 100 reps, you realize, okay, I'm done with this. I was actually, the call I had right before you, Doc, was with another YouTuber friend who, like me, started out with writing. We're writers first and foremost. YouTube comes second to me compared to my blog. And he's actually taking basically a full break between his full-time job and content creation. He can't do any more videos. He's actually focusing more on writing books and blogs than anything else.
Yep. Yep. Makes sense. You've got to go with what you know, or
And what you feel
what
is
feels
best.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few more here, and then we can wrap up.
I would probably,
This is where it starts to get like grasping at the straws, I feel like.
yeah, this one, we'll put it in ChatGPT. No, I think then you can do year-end reviews of, like, say for instance, what's going on in this year, similar to what you were saying for a prediction. I would just make it more topical of what's happening at the end of the year. How has, how has things changed? What have you seen in the industry?
Mhm.
And then the other thing is, I
Industry
would,
analysis will also be a good one.
yep, I think also thinking about, again, we talked about the beginning of the who do you look up to. After you have deep dive into the subject, have you found 10 to 15 new people or different sources as you've gone through this challenge? Um, and then the last section that I think about would be, if I'm thinking about, now that I'm getting closer and I've done about 75 videos or something like that, what
Hmm.
kind of content do I now look at that I want to emulate and like swing for the fences? To me, it would be more experimental. It would be like, because you can't do really experimental things. You can, of course, but I mean,
Can't,
like,
but yeah.
70 at the end of the 25, like, what do you want to do? Um, I want to create this kind of content, or I want to push myself to do it. I think about, there's this guy named Joel. I have to find him on YouTube. He's done tons of shorts. He's done it for years. And of course, we're making this a catalyst in the 100 first videos. But what I thought was, he said he wasn't going to do any more shorts. He was going to do 12 movies, full length movies in
Hmm.
12 months
Hmm.
on his channel. Now, guess what? He didn't accomplish that. He's at like 8 in 12. But you see that, like,
That's a huge jump though.
yeah. And that's the thing. So, like, I really think
And
trying
you can
to,
repurpose with Opus Clip.
this is true. This is true. What are you getting paid every time you say that? So when you,
The affiliate links down below, folks.
if you do that, I think really trying to do something extreme or what's in your audience, I think that allows you to have all different types of revelations, or just hitting on a whole other list. Now that I think about it too, a tier list, the good old
Oh.
fashioned doing a tier list of like S tier, A
I
tier,
did
all those
that for
things.
I did that for social media platforms, and then I never posted it. I don't think.
Why?
I forgot.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, a tier list. I love those kind of things. Um,
Real
and
quick,
yeah,
I'm
that's it.
having a hard time focusing because you said something about like, oh, what are you getting paid every time you say this? And I'm like, Brando, it has electrolytes you need.
That is, stop. Where is it? No. But if you want to,
If you
yeah,
get the reference, please comment down below.
there's, if you have this, I think, the other one is, if you've seen it, you see this a lot in fitness industry,
Mm,
where it would be, if Batman had a workout routine, what would be the routine? And what I mean by that is, it can be something fictitious, but can you make a spin on your stuff for it? So it
hmm
could be something like Harry Potter, Twilight, whatever it is, you can have a spin on what you're interested in it. For example, there's like a guy, he's an influencer I work with. He does like cosplay and does what do you call it? Balls? What do you call it? When it's like when you dress up and you go to a ball.
Gallus?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, it's crazy. But now he has his own cookbook of this fantasy world of what they eat. And he used ChatGPT and he made a cookbook out of all of these things. There's so many weird niche things like that. I think if you find what's going on either in the news or fictitious characters, you could also do that at the end as well. Just experiment.
Another prime example of that fictional character kind of concept is the Bioneer. And he's one of my favorite YouTubers and content creators over the years. He's actually, I think I sent this to you, honestly. He's one of the only people who I see is technically like a competitor to the PolyInnovator brand.
Say that.
Because I think this is really interesting. And I say that as someone who completely supports him. I'd much rather build him up than like see him as a competition or anything like that anyways, because he makes different content, mainly fitness. But he makes a lot of videos about like, here's like the Batman workouts and here's how to think like Iron Man. It's just like, dude, the things he comes up with is so fascinating. I love it.
Yeah. No, great stuff. Great stuff.
There's a handful left here, and hopefully I can fill it out. Maybe we could also chat GPT it at the end. But I just wanted to keep talking to you, Doc. 'Cause I think that we did the whole idea thing, and that's cool.
Yeah, man. What we got next?
So really, we just need to talk about like what content are we working on right now. I wanted to also catch you up with what I was doing. So yesterday I wrote 12 blog posts.
Okay.
I wrote over 7,500 words.
Wow.
So the first two blog posts, I think, were just like some random topics I had lying around. So right now, the blitz that I'm doing, it's broken into a lot of different sprints. And one of the sprints is purely blog posts. One of the sprints is the Polymathy newsletter. Another micro sprint, I guess you could say, but I kind of counted towards the blog post, is my swimming newsletter. And that's what a lot of it was on yesterday. I couldn't think about regular topics, but I was like, oh, I could write about swimming today. And I made my own swimming levels based on just what I've done over the last decade teaching it. And I wanted to explain what each level entailed. And then I realized, well, there's also a level 0 for babies and parent and child classes. And then there's also, I want to make a blog post combining all of them together. So I made another post with a little bit more extra content in there, and I combined them all together. And then I also did the same thing on the weekend where I made like 7 blog posts and scheduled them out ahead of time.
I like it. How did you feel with it?
This is what I've been trying to do for ages. This is like why I started doing those sprints back in the day. And that's why I created the blitz in the first place, because I couldn't finish those sprints for whatever reason. So I made the goal even bigger, like your friend with the movies, right? I'm going to do 12 movies. Well, you failed at 8. That's still a success. And so like, even if I don't finish all my sprints, like I feel like I'm going to fail at doing all my blog post sprints to some degree, but I'm still writing like a dozen posts a week, if not like a day.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that a lot. And did you schedule them out? What's the cadence going to be?
Yeah, I only did like one a day, and the swimming newsletter always went out on Wednesdays, so that's why I scheduled out on Wednesdays. I'm only like 1 week ahead with the Polymathy newsletter, so that's probably the next one I really need to get back onto, is start making more of those Polymathy posts and schedule those out once a week. And then I'm going to keep going back to I'll fill in the gaps between the Saturdays that goes out and the Wednesdays that swimming goes out with regular blog posts. Eventually, I'll do more than one day, but per day, I mean.
I love it. So what's next what are you creating next? Same style?
I mean, I still need to keep doing that. Like, I don't really need to touch any more swimming blog posts for now, but the Polymathy and the social articles. So I think I told you this before. I had this concept of a mini blog post that you put on LinkedIn articles or medium.com and take advantage of that network that's on there. But since medium.com is trash and LinkedIn articles don't really get pushed the same as they used to, there's not really a good home for those social based networking articles, because they're basically like the length of a newsletter. And so I put it on Substack, but I kind of failed on Substack. I scheduled it out for like 7 months ahead, kind of failed over the course of last year, decided I'm going to cut that down. I'm going to take these posts and expand them to full length blog posts and rewrite them. And that's what I've been doing too.
Okay. I like it. What are you going to do with YouTube?
With YouTube, I actually finally chopped up our live stream. I think I was telling you on Saturday, I spent the entire day editing on Saturday. So I edited the interview that needed to get out soon. I interviewed our last brand doctors video, because it always takes me a long time to get those, because Riverside also glitched out last week too.
Oh, really?
Like I was telling you about that. Like one of the screen share videos wouldn't finish processing, so I couldn't actually edit it within Riverside, which combines all those files together into one. And I didn't want to edit 12 different screen shares in DaVinci Resolve. I still need to edit our interview, but that's my next video I'm going to work on. I also recorded a video yesterday too.
Okay, great stuff. Great stuff.
And 3 interviews this weekend coming up.
You're going to record 3?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to try to reschedule one of them because one of them got like put back to back with the other one. I'm like, oh, I don't like doing back to back.
Nah, these things happen. Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to it.
What are you doing?
What am I doing?
What aren't you doing? Oh, you aren't doing shorts. That's right. I'm sorry. I need to stop being so pointed about it.
Yeah. What about that? No. I think what I'm going to do is, so I have a number of live streams. So, okay.
You just pay me to repurpose all your videos.
2 things. I might. So this is the thing. 2 things. I am working with 2 editors. I'm working with 2 thumbnail designers, and I'm thinking about what I'm doing with my channel. As I'm doing this, I want to do more. Right now, it's the golden age of AI agents. So I got to just put out as much content as possible. Like this is go time. Like this is only going to be for the next couple of months. I'm going to be doing beginner, intermediate, advanced, live streaming, all this stuff.
I love that. I did the same idea for like blog post back in the day. Like, here's a beginner's guide to self-education, intermediate guide to self-education. That's some of the ideas that's on my list. I think I did them for one topic, but I actually kind of copied that same format for like 4 different topics. And I want to redo them actually at this point too. But that's a great idea. I'm glad you're doing it.
Yeah. And like, it's big, like Lenny's newsletter, which is big in like the tech space. He just reviewed like talking about Lovable, Replit, and a few others. I'm going to be basically using that infographic and talking about like, this is what you see in the infographic, but here's what this means. This is what it would look like, and really deep dive into that.
What's your weekly cadence of videos? This has been fluctuating a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been fluctuating. I'm almost doing.
I wonder if you could start doing daily if you could pull that off.
I might. I'm hitting around 4 to 6 a week.
Are you repurposing your live streams still too? Like, I mean, as in like medium length videos?
Not really. And the reason behind it is a lot of it, there's no good reason. I was going to redo it. So there's a popular version in tech where you keep rebuilding the same thing with the same thing over and over again. So I did a 3.5 hour live stream last week where I built the same directory app 7 different times.
I think I've been watching that actually.
And so I actually got a comment, and someone's like, I would love this to be like a summary to break down what's the easiest to get started. I'm basically using that comment and restructuring it that way.
I wish you made it into a blog post on brandfactory.com too.
That's another thing. Brandfactory.com is being moved because Bluehost is trash. Yeah, so we're dealing with a lot of stuff right now. So
Hostinger for the win.
So
although I don't use them anymore.
See, look at this. And I'll actually send you. So I've been doing a lot of interview style of creators making money with no code. That seems to be doing pretty well. I am going to I'm going to just need to put out more AI agent stuff, like just honestly everywhere. And the last thing I noticed was I was looking at someone and he's in a similar niche. I didn't know we were really in the same thing until I was recommended his stuff for AI agents. One of his most viewed videos, and I know probably he's getting tons of subscribers, would be how to download ChatGPT, the app on your desktop. Like these very basic ones that seem like not like super sexy. Those are the ones that I need to create.
I also feel like you need to make some about like Olama and the open source ones because I don't trust ChatGPT for the life of me. I don't put any of my real personal information into OpenAI stuff.
I have to send you a short about OpenAI in a little bit.
I also wonder too, like I still love this idea. I think you have enough content that you could do it, but you would never do it. And you don't even know what I'm talking about, Doc.
I still don't like it.
Yeah, probably. I still love the idea. You could only post 100 posts a day on YouTube, but that's still like 5 times as much as on TikTok and 10 times as much as on Instagram. But I love the idea that like every 24 hours, scheduling out, or maybe like just doing 50 a day, but 100 posts a day, like 100 shorts, or maybe 99 shorts in one video every day for like a week or a month or something like that.
You're insane. I know.
But imagine, just imagine
I'm
what you
hearing
can
what
do.
you're saying. Hearing what you're saying.
And this
Yes,
is why people watch this show, though, Doc, because we say all these insane things. Because you've said insane things too in the past,
this is true.
and it's not as much as me, but still. But
No,
it gives people ideas of what they can do.
and I will say, similar to what you're saying, different, but I'm going to send you this guy. Have you seen this guy, Level Redesign? He's got only 17K, but he's got 20 videos out.
Where are you sending this?
Where you want this? Hold on
Like Twitter, I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because like I kept talking to people about doing my 10 shorts a day thing. And honestly, it really wasn't that insane, especially on YouTube. On Instagram, I had some mixed results. TikTok fluctuates so much that you really can't see much data patterns in that a lot of the time. But with YouTube, it was such a great idea. Like, I think doing more than 10 is pushing it, but I still think that most people are not doing enough on there.
Probably not.
Wait, did he interview him or no? Sorry, I saw Bracky's on one of the thumbnails.
Right. He's a designer, right? So he's a game designer, and I found him years ago or earlier this year, where he's remaking Toy Story 2 in Unreal Engine. And this is one of the things where I'm like, it's super niche. It's super, like, it's a lot of work, but you see how you're showing expertise. You're showing something that takes so much effort. YouTube rewards a really good idea and effort. It's the same way as like Bobby Fingers, where Bobby's only put out like 10 videos, but he makes these dioramas that are lifelike. And the way that he constructs it, he basically has everyone in that community like will want to do collabs with him. He made a Jeff Bezos head rowboat by hand. Like, it's so ridiculous. Or he did the time he almost got famous where I think it was the band, the Black Eyed Keys were on Joe Rogan and they said his name wrong, or they didn't know what it was. And he rebuilt the Joe Rogan set of the two people talking about him. It's insane, the level that he goes to. So I think there's a lot of, now the way he edits, the way his style, I'm like, you can tell he had another channel. He had he's an editor, he's something. I'm like, the way his composition, it's too good to be someone that's like just starting. Yeah. But that just gives you ideas of how you can there's enough room on YouTube. Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's got to be Mr. Beast or this way. There's so many different types of content on YouTube and finding a foothold.
I want to get into the AI a little bit because I have a couple creator buddies, Sebastian
Familiar.
Jeffries.
Okay.
Sebastian Stan is the
I'm like,
Marvel guy. I'm like, hold on.
You know that guy?
I keep watching so many Marvel stuff recently. I watched basically the entirety of What If Season 3 this past like 2 days.
No spoilers.
What if? But it's funny because Sebastian Jeffries, Greg Priest, and Dan Keefe, all three of them I interviewed on this channel, they talk a lot about these different AI tools. They mentioned like 11 Labs a lot. And I love this idea. First off, I've talked to you about this a little bit too, ages ago. I use, not SpeechKit, but Beyond Words. That's a new name. I use them to make audio versions of every one of my blog posts. And I can't clone my voice with them. At least they don't allow it anymore. But 11 Labs, and that's weird. 11 Labs and Play.ht do let you clone your voice. And Play.ht is the one bridge between those two tools where it's like, hey, they can make all different blog posts into audios, and then they also can clone the voice. They're the only one that can do both. And I'm like, maybe I should go with Play.ht and make a podcast based off all my blog posts, blah, blah, blah. Point is using AI tools, repurpose, but also convert, or just using like InVideo to make a completely from scratch TikTok or whatever. And really, there's going to be an influx of that across the board. And there's going to be a lot of crap that comes from it. I know that. Like 70% of it's probably going to be crap, because we're seeing that with all the Python videos that you and I used to talk about back in the day.
Yep.
And all the like Subway Surfer videos we're seeing on TikTok now. But the point is, there's still a lot of really cool stuff that comes out of that. There's some really cool videos every once in a while on TikTok with that. But what I wanted to do was use like AI image generation, then take that, like make Leonardo da Vinci and make him talk about a certain topic and have his lips move and have a really cool rustic voice or whatever. Or using AI video generation to make these smart city videos for my previous endeavor. So before I did PolyInnovator, I talked about United Living Construct. That was a previous thing I was trying to create. Well, I wanted to make content for it still, and just over the course of years, build up a channel and build up a following around smart cities and seasteading and the future of humanity and like partnership scale, all these really advanced topics using AI to make interesting videos around topics that aren't getting talked about very much.
I like
And
that.
so whether I'm doing like just a weekly short or a weekly video over the course of like 5 years, because I'm not going to work on this channel yet. I'm not ready for it personally, but I want to start building up a following at least a little bit there and have some sort of backlog on there.
I like that. I like that. That's interesting. It's
Because
interesting.
I feel that channel is just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, I could be doing something with it. And I have tons of content ideas for the ULC as well.
This is very brief. I know we're about to leave. Let me ask you this. Um, what do you think? We've talked about it. Like, number one, editing. I wonder how much a good price is. I'm thinking about different, more intense edits for a
Mm-hmm.
video. And then also, too, I think we should do next time. I want to do more documentary style in 3D rendering of cities and different portions. When you were talking about cities, I was like, yeah, I need actually now you need that.
If you have anything that's like smart city stuff, like we could even like collaborate a little bit. If you talk about Singapore or Barcelona, we could talk about those two cities, which are more smart cities, and then I could take that same content, reframe it for my channel too. We could work
Interesting.
together on that. I think that when it comes to price of editors, I have never been able to afford much because I had to do out of pocket. So I had to go on Reddit and find $20 editors per video or whatever for my interviews. But the interviews were very simplistic editing. When it comes to more complex stuff, you could do the basic editing yourself and then have them do the motion graphics on top of that. And that way you can still kind of cheapen out a little bit on the cost, but still pay them enough that they're what they deserve. I interviewed Ryan McGinn on this channel, and he has like a short form content agency that does a lot of editing and stuff like that for you. And one thing he mentions a few times, and he's told me in person too, was like, you have to pay editors well. And if they're the good editors, you pay them well and you keep them around. And so that's one thing I've learned on that.
Yeah. And that's the thing right now I'm looking at on average. I think I'm paying for these longer form ones that I'm testing out. They're not as much as some people, I guess, but I'm spending, I was doing an all in number for my edits for 5 videos a month for the longer forms, 900,
Mm-hmm.
120 for
Mm-hmm.
thumbnails. So I'm all in looking at around 1,000 for the production of it, but I want to really increase the level of what this channel can do. I'm still doing the tutorials. I'm still editing them, the majority of them myself, but they're
You do like
simple
once a month of
edits.
these big stuff?
I'm doing well, if you look at them, maybe once a week, some of these bigger interviews that I
Mm.
want to
Well, I mean,
do.
like whatever the high production things you're doing, like I was kind of curious about that because
Oh,
Kyrgyz Scott's a good channel where they only do like 1 to 2 videos a month
yeah.
because it takes so much production.
And that's the other one. Probably I've got to look at one other thing. Like I'm not sure if you watch like ESPN or those. Yeah. So basically, there's this guy that made his own production company that ESPN pays him. So
Mm.
similar to like Rob Dyrdek, a lot of people don't know he owns like the production, all these things. So MTV buys it basically the rights to use his stuff. The same thing, I was going to go and talk to him about how he created this. Basically, all modern sports shows are based off of his style. He lives in DC. That was, I have to pay someone for the videographer, for everything like that. So that's going to be like, I think maybe once a quarter, I'm going to do big things like that. The rest is going to be more Zoom calls or people that
Mm-hmm.
are local where I can do the editing fairly easy.
Don't do Zoom. Please don't do Zoom.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm just doing
Yeah.
remote.
I will say, like, I have a similar kind of idea with my Poly Pro posts. I've told you about them in the past. Like, when I was obsessed with metaverse and whatnot, and when that
Mm-hmm.
was a big thing, I was trying to learn about it. I made a mega post about it. One of my first mega posts was actually how to go omni-channel, and that thing went wild. I kept getting requests to add links to it over the years, and it's one of those things where when I make these mega posts, it's because I'm usually in the flow of that topic, and I want to spew it out as much as I'm getting it in. It comes right out, and last year especially, but even in 2023, I failed at getting those Poly Pro posts out. And that's what my membership is mainly for right now before I get courses and books on the site. That's what people are paying for. And so since I don't really have any posts coming out, people don't pay for it. I really want to get back in the habit of doing those posts. And I was thinking the cadence would be like once a month. The ideal thing would be like twice a month or something like that. But there's there's 7,000 words, 8,000 words, long posts.
That's not bad.
And that way people pay for something that's deeply valuable. But I felt like I don't want to put my blog posts behind a paywall because they're not long enough for that. It felt weird to me. That's why I hate Medium in the regards how they manage things.
Is that you pay for that really on Medium like that?
You pay for like just regular blog posts. And sometimes people put these, what I call the social blogs, or like smaller blog posts. People make those and still put them on Medium, and they put them behind the paywall. So these 2 or 3 minute long blog posts, you're paying, and they're not usually that useful. There's usually just a link to somewhere else. And so it's like, it's very scummy how much they're forcing people to put them behind the paywall. So if I'm going to put a paywall, I want to make a mega post or like a blockbuster post or pillar post, whatever you want to call them, and make them like worthwhile for people to actually pay for it.
Interesting.
That's always been my main philosophy with a lot of that stuff.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Maybe you could do that with like any kind of documentaries you make a Uscreen thing.
That's not...
Actually, no, you've done a lot more, you know more about that than I do, the whole Netflix thing. We need to talk about that at some point too, by the way.
Yeah.
I need to make my own Netflix.
To be continued. Continued.
See you, everybody.
All right, bye.
Link down below.